Uh, yeah, I'm in a weird mood. I started my day off after a garbage dream with a pretty crappy mood, but I'm working on it. I've been dragging my butt all day trying to get things done and work on my schedule and get things organized in a way that makes sense. So I'm a little late right now. And I was a little late. I was a little late. Well, I had my appointment that I had to go to earlier today, so I got that taken care of. I debated whether I was going to see Captain Marvel in the theater. I opted instead to hold that one off till tomorrow. That's going to be a movie review on an edited, regular style content on my channel. I'm going to do what am I doing? What's today? Today's Tuesday, so tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm going to do the book review tomorrow. I'm going to go watch the movie and do the update of that on Friday, the review of that on Friday, and that'll be Captain Marvel. And then Monday should be, yeah, I'm like a day behind or something, but like I decided last minute. I was doing some research as to the Marvel TV series that I wanted to get underway, and I'm like, yeah, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders, Punisher. Yeah, those are all there. Cloak and Dagger, maybe Runaways, and I keep forgetting Inhumans. And then I was like, oh wait, I did a little research, and oh yeah, Agent Carter. That was one I wanted to see badly. I definitely want to see Agent Carter series. And so I don't want to leave that one out. And so as I was doing the crunching the details on that, it's like if I do Daredevil and Jessica Jones on the same day, first 2 episodes of each series, and then Daredevil season 2 and Luke Cage, and then Iron Fist and Defenders, and then Punisher, Jessica Jones 2, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist season 2. That's 5 days of 5 weeks of content if I do them each Views Day. Daredevil season 3, Punisher season 2, Inhumans, Agent Carter, Cloak and Dagger, Runaways. So that's 3 more weeks, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would get me 8 weeks out into when, like, it's like the week after the weekend of the release of Avengers Endgame. And I still have the option of doing something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as like a couple seasons of that, like the first 2 episodes of each season of that would get me 4 or 5 more weeks of content for Views Day night. And then when I see the Avengers Endgame, I will do a review for that. And then I sort of I'm done with the Marvel universe stuff leading up to Endgame. I can parse it out more. I can do the X-Men movies not in a rush for Endgame or anything. And I can wait on Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm just not going to fight that one. But so that was what I decided all of 4 hours ago when I was planning to, what am I going to watch for the Views Day night movie, and I opted that I would watch the first 2 hours of Daredevil season 1, do my live update, and then watch the first 2 hours of Jessica Jones tonight. And oh boy, that's stacking the deck of work tonight. That's 5 hours of stuff I have to do tonight just for this channel. and I had my appointment this afternoon, and I did this. I did a taste test a few months ago of a breakfast cereal. I think it's Post came out with a Sour Patch Kids cereal, and the cereal tastes like if you were to take Fruit Loops, soak them in extra tart orange juice, and then like if you put them in milk like a cereal, that's sort of what the cereal tastes like. They're pretty sour. They're like really, really sour Fruit Loops. And I kind of enjoyed them as a cereal, but I couldn't help but wonder how they would taste if I made them into like a Rice Krispie treat. So I kind of did that this afternoon, and I will tell you, that has a lot of sugar in it. That has so much sugar. I was just like, for like an hour and a half afterwards. And it was like a little bit much. And there's a little bit of crashing that happened afterwards. And so I did that. Like I had my appointment in the early part of the day. I had been doing some things late into last night, early this morning. And so I slept later into the AM. I think it was around 10 a.m. when I woke up. I got about 7 hours sleep last night. And then got up, started doing the things I needed to do around here, ran a couple errands, had my appointment, finished my appointment, ran a couple more errands, came back, and made myself the Sour Patch Crispy snack, I guess we'll call it. Had a massive sugar overdose for a little while, cleaned up from making it, sort of started to crash for a bit, and then pulled myself together just sort of in time to realize, oh, we've got to decide what we would need to do for Views Day. And so that's when I decided on Daredevil and Jessica Jones for tonight. And proceeded to start trying to make my computer work to do that. And it fought me a fair bit of the way for like, I think it took me 45 minutes to get it to work right to do that. And I'm not even doing anything super complicated with it yet. What I was doing was loading Netflix, running Netflix while streaming myself on the webcam. And it got a little laggy in certain areas for that. So I don't think it was an issue watching YouTube videos, like the movies, like Thor Ragnarok was a YouTube rental that was played in standard definition while I recorded my reaction to it. That one works. This one really hit some laggy spots, and I'm wondering if I could go in and adjust the Netflix like resolution down a little bit and see if it helps the smoothness of it play out right. But I had forgotten how dark and gritty those first 2 episodes of Daredevil are. Like, that's, I swear I've seen them, but I don't remember that much like open wound being shown. Like the first one had like him, I think that was the one where, maybe it was the second one. We had to stitch his dad's brow shut, and they just needle through flesh each time he did it. It was like, oh, 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 oh. And it was just like, and there was like there's a stab wound scene at one point where like they peel the cloth away and it's like this slurpy stab wound, and I'm like, I'm not usually squeamish, but whoa, that was graphic. That was harsh. So I don't remember it being quite that harsh, but I guess it must have been. I don't know what to expect from Jessica Jones now, because that one I know I haven't seen all the parts of. I've seen clips of it, I think. I think I wandered in on a friend who was watching like 2 episodes somewhere in the middle. Enough to get a basic gist of what's going on in the series. But it is what it is. I will find out, and I may adapt to the grittiness of it, I guess I'll call it. But yeah, it was caught me a little off guard today. But I also have been running through a bit of a crappy mood for today. And I don't usually get nightmares, and this wasn't a nightmare either. But last night I had a dream that, like, it's not scary, it's not angering, it's just, I call them jerky dreams, because, well, that's probably, I probably need to find a better phrase for that. It's sort of like my subconscious just being a jerk to myself. And so, like, a little bit of soul crushing happened. And, like, I woke up this morning from my dream, and I think my exact words were well, I won't say my exact words because I don't want to swear on the camera, but I said, well, screw you too. Like, screw you, dream. Thanks for doing that to me. Waking me up with a crappy mood that just sours the rest of my day. Found a couple of the guys I know who do YouTube content that's usually pretty comedic, and watched a couple of their videos to give myself a little bit of boost today. And it cheered me up for a little bit. But my life still likes to hit me on the side a few times. So I was very moody all over the place for the last 8 or 9 hours or so. All over the place. But I kind of pulled it together. Marvel's Daredevil was definitely I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with that series. That's a pretty good series. I had kind of forgotten how much I appreciate the cinematography and storytelling that. Like, it's real. It's not Hollywood. What was it? Ben Affleck as Daredevil, like glamored up, and I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like so two-dimensional compared to like just the hardcore nutsiness of the main character in this TV series. And it's, I mean, there's a certain amount of it that's just savage. But like when you see him fight in this TV series, he fights. Like, he takes hit after hit, and it takes a toll on him. And you see it in the acting and the choreography. Like, just like the exhaustion in the muscles as he's trying to take hits and hit back over and over again. And it's just like trying to keep himself on his feet. And you feel it. You feel it. And like, to me, that's the most impressive part of this series, is that it's just so viscerally realistic, or it feels that way. And yeah, I mean, it's not a light TV series. It's not a reality show or a light, cheesy superhero comedy spoof, whatever. Like, there's a place for those kinds of things, and I do think the movies do pretty well at doing that kind of stuff. But this series, the Daredevil series, is gritty, and it respects the material it comes from, I feel like. And so, yeah, I may rewatch the entirety of the first season of Daredevil. I don't know about that. Seems like an awful lot of watching over the next few days. Like if I do want to watch all of Jessica Jones, and that's 13 hours of video. And if I watch the rest of this first season of Daredevil, that's another 10 hours left, I think. 11 hours left. So we're talking 24 hours of video between now and next Tuesday. And next Tuesday is, again, things I haven't seen. So I may end up watching 13 hours of, or 26 hours of content next week. Oh, what have I gotten myself into? This now suddenly sounds like a whole boatload more work than I anticipated. But it'll be nice to catch up and be able to understand some of the stuff in universe and the stories going on. I think it would be awesome if we could see some of these characters show up in the movies. That would be awesome. But pretty sure that's not going to happen. Ooh, boy, am I tired. Boy, oh boy, am I tired. Yeah, so updating the, or doing the Views Day with, it seems like 4 hours of video content each Tuesday night from now on, along with the 1 hour, well, 1 hour-ish updates here. I will probably cut them shorter on Tuesdays. And doing the edited videos for the book, movie, board game, product and service, taste tests, art or music, and then video games, and then probably health and well-being. Just for this channel, I need to also see if I can bang out some editing for the Makerspace tour videos. And then see if I can get that organized in a way. And I have to plan for sometime in early April, A, getting my taxes done, and B, I need to plan for making a trip out to Pittsburgh for a Makerspace out there. And so there's a lot to do over the next 3 weeks. And the next 8 weeks are also going to be pretty heavily stacked with stuff to do. This is going to be a little bit more than a part-time job for the next 8 weeks. All right, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I visited family for a family birthday the other day, and my mom sent me a message earlier today saying she knows somebody in town who does like an art craft market thing, and they were interested in my puzzle, my star puzzle that I did, and so I may have to see if I can pull together a saleable batch of those, like 5 or 6 of them, maybe 10 of them, by the end of April, I think, is what they were saying. So I got to think about that, keep that on my mind. And then I also have to keep in mind that I have to see if I can get far enough ahead in both my channels that come late May, early June, I need to be able to hit the road and get to Chattanooga, I think by mid-June. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to get my car inspected early. And I know there are repairs that need to be done on it. Not looking forward to that cost. And the cost of having to replace the computer, which is as it is. I don't know. I'll have to think about some of that. And, I got to figure out what I'm going to do for live content. So I'll do April, May, I will do another one of those 8 weeks of content creation. So a book, a movie, a board game, product or service, cooking show, maybe? Thinking about that one. And then I think I'm going to work on a piece of music or try to do some music related something or other. And then create another video game. And then maybe something for a health and well-being project. I may have to start that one beforehand. So if I want to do something like a dietary change that I can do updates on live, that's likely something I should do for more than a week. So I would start that at the start of a month or two and sort of see how that goes. And then at the end of that 8-week period, so like if I say I start a new batch of those on April 1st, come on, work with me, calendar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then like the tidy up week at the end of May being a finishing week. That means that I may take June 1st all the way to July 1st as another month off, sort of like what I've done for the trip to Hawaii stuff. Because, I mean, I originally thought it would be hard to not create something for the month. I can do a daily update while I have access to internet. But creating things is a little bit harder to do when I'm doing the traveling. I could possibly do like travel blogs or something like that. But start of June all the way through till the end of June might be the month off. But I will also be traveling from July into mid to late August, I think. I think VidCon is, I want to say VidCon was July 11th, 12th? What is it this year? I gotta look that up again. VidCon, and I'm going to that. That's July, starts on Wednesday, July 10th, and ends on July 13th. So I might do some live content from VidCon. That would be kind of fun to try to do. But you know, traveling there and where I go after that, like from end of June to midway July, I will be traveling, well, from early June all the way into, let's see, the 13th, I will be somewhere wandering the country in a different area pretty much every day. And then from VidCon, I figure about a week to travel up through to Alaska. And then Alaska, like a 2-day or 3 days visit there. And then 1, 2, in 2, 3, 4, 6. So that 2, 3, 4, 12, 13, 14. So it would be minimum August 18th by the time I finish traveling through Canada on the way back. And I need to stop for a couple days in a side path on the way. So it may very well be all the way to the end of August by the time I get back. So it'll be from early June to late August that I will be traveling in the summer. And that makes it really hard to do creation and live streaming and edited video content. Like, I can edit video content well ahead of time. So I can do each month I do a book, video, board game, such and such. I can do all those ahead of time if I can get the time to really build up that cushion that gets me through that 3-month period. And then I can do things like the Views Day movies ahead of time too. I'll have to brainstorm a couple ways of maybe doing, I can probably write, do some writing while I'm traveling, or bookmaking at least. And then might be a little hard to do a movie while I'm traveling, but I might be able to make that happen too. And board game or a card game, possibly. Maybe even a dice game. I'll have to think about that one. And then product and service might be one of the hard ones to do. Come up with a product or service that I can sell while traveling. And then taste tests I can do while traveling. Art I can do while traveling. Sort of. Like if I focus on sketching or something like that. Because at that time it will be art again, I think. I think if I do this next batch out, April through early June, do music, doing sketching or some other art form while I'm traveling wouldn't be impossible. And then it's making a video game would be the hard one, I think. So like the movie and the video game are two of the harder ones. Product and service is a hard one. Might be able to make the rest of them happen. And so that would be like July through August for those weekly project lists. And then end of August, I'm going to need another month off, like downtime. I will have gotten back from a massive road trip on which I'm doing a lot of work beforehand and a lot of work during it. So, yeah, I have to plan and schedule that all out and then really buckle down and try to get as much of it done ahead of time as I can, so there's not any sense of like an extra workload while I'm traveling. Because that's been something that's been really, really difficult to make happen, is when I've been traveling. Maybe it'll be easier if I can get a functional cell phone and a tablet, like a 2-in-1 tablet for traveling computation. Computation? Did I actually just make a word up? I think I just made a word up. But, and I imagine it as I'm traveling, like I'm debating, like I need to look at some of those 2-in-1 tablet/laptop arrangements. Many of them have a webcam on them. They probably won't be as good as this, but I don't know. They might be at the point now where a 720p or a 1080p may be something that you can get built into some of them now. So I'll have to see what options are available. And regardless of however that works, I may have to look into a cell phone anyway. I'd kind of rather not, but I need to see if I can figure out how to handle like needing a hotspot when I'm traveling. I think I could probably find a lot of libraries. Starbucks, like I could use a Starbucks or a McDonald's for some things, but video uploading, they don't let you use that kind of bandwidth. So like I won't be able to update a video live from wherever I'm at. Not unless I'm using beaucoup amounts of data on a cell phone program. And I'm not super keen to sign up for a cell phone program because like I use a pay-as-you-go phone, and like I get a certain amount of data to use during that, but I'm pretty sure I don't have enough to upload 1080p quality video from a iPhone camera every day for an hour. I definitely don't have that option. Yeah, I gotta look into my options. So like there's the cell phone options, and there is like a wireless hotspot option that I might be able to buy just the hotspot, plug it into my car when I need it. That may be an option for me. I don't know. And like there are a lot of these misleading things where they're talking about like unlimited data, but it's not. It's not unlimited. It's like for an hour usage at like sending text files, you might be okay. But once you go past that point, they throttle you down to the point where it's useless to do anything video-wise. So I'm going to have to bounce my head off of some of that for a little while. And the thing that sucks is like there's nothing like a makerspace for YouTube creators, as far as I've been able to find. There are no, I mean, they have the YouTube space in New York City and the YouTube space in California. You have to have like 10,000 subscribers before you can use them. I'm not anywhere near that on either channel. And cumulatively, we're not even close. But even so, they're sort of like, they're not used daily by YouTubers and video makers for content creation. So it's not like I can show up there and see who's at the space that day. Like nobody's there. It's not meant to be used that way. So like I don't have a means of like calling up the space in New York City saying like, can I come down and talk to some people and see what options they use if they do any traveling? Like I have to legitimately really hunt down and do a lot of research online to find out what my options are. I get the sinking suspicion that of my options, there's going to be garbage option 1 and garbage option 2, and each one will make it a little bit easier for me to pull off some of what I want to do, but not other parts. And I'll have to pick which ones are a more important priority. And so, like, and I don't know what those choices are yet. So I'm a little apprehensive about what it's going to end up being. But I mean, I have to go back to my philosophy of last resort is essentially like, look, a year ago, I was out traveling the country and it was too difficult for me to produce any content for this channel. So for at least 6 to 8 months of the last year, I produced nothing for this channel. Now I'm producing stuff for this channel again. And honestly, if that happens, it happens. Like, in order to do some of the things that are important for me to do for the long run, I may have to sacrifice some of these enjoyable and interesting short-term goals. Doesn't always go as cleanly as you want it to go. That's okay. It'll happen. So, I mean, I have to keep going back to that mindset and say, like, look, you're not going to get fired from this job if you don't make this happen no matter how hard you have to work to make it happen. Like that just, it doesn't happen. I am my boss. And yes, I can be disappointed in myself. And boy, let me tell you, I am really, really hard on myself sometimes. But I'm only human. I'll do what I can. I hope that I can do a lot of interesting things while traveling and sharing them with people. If there's some days it can't happen, then there's some days it can't happen. I'm not able to do everything sometimes, and that's okay. I have to give myself permission to be mortal, I guess is the term. Like somebody who legitimately has limits on their capabilities. It'll be what it'll be, I guess. But I do kind of want to see how much I can achieve while I'm traveling, because again, it's sort of like a warm-up for traveling internationally. Like when I travel to India, I'm going to encounter a lot of the problems I'm going to encounter on this next road trip over the summer. Finding internet's going to be hard. I'm going to be moving around regularly. Finding food is going to be difficult. My budget is going to be super tight because travel costs are going to eat up just about everything I have. So food, water, laundry, I'm going to have to be very creative with that. Like I may pack 2 outfits, wear one, wash the other in the tub, hang it over the railing in the morning, go do the things you need to do during the day, and hopefully it's dry when you get back. And if you're halfway through your trip and you're finding out that the clothes are wearing out quickly, throw them out and buy a new set down at the mall near wherever you're staying that week. Yeah, I'm getting up there, and I'm not getting up there in years yet, but I keep setting myself projects where I hit a hard limit and I realize, oh yeah, I'm not 20 something anymore. I'm like, they're legitimately like the trips to Hawaii, those 2 plane rides where for a good chunk of that, it was you sleep 3 hours a night for 2 nights before the flight, and the day of the first flight you get 5 hours, and then that night you get maybe an hour before the next day. You go through a whole day's worth of more stuff, and you get back 18 hours after you left for the start of the second flight. It's just sort of like you finish that time frame and like, I've had maybe 9 hours sleep over the last 5 days. That's hard on the body. That's super hard on the body. I know when I was younger and I went to some conventions when I was sort of just out of high school, I used to do an art table at a convention, and like I would pack up like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. the day I was supposed to get down to the convention at 10 a.m. and it was like a 3-hour drive. And it's like a mad scramble to get there and like rent a hotel room for 2 nights instead of 4 nights. And, you know, you're far enough away from the convention because it's cheaper that way. And so you get up every morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning. You try to eat something that's safe that won't upset my system. And you scramble to get things done on time, to head out the door to go set up a table at a convention at 10 o'clock in the morning, or I think it was like 7:30 was when they usually open the tables, I think, at the conventions. So you rush to get there, get into parking. You're at the table until 9:30 at night. Break it down, head back to your hotel room, find something to eat, crash for like 3 hours, do it all again the next day. And when you finish the second day at the convention, you pack up everything, you jump in the car at like the very last minute of the convention where you've been awake for 14 hours, and you drive 3 hours north. And it's just like, that's brutal. And I'd come back from those conventions and I would crash. I would just like, thump, I'm out. And I'd sleep for 15 or 16 hours straight. And even back then, to be fair, that's hard on the body. Like sleeping 15 hours doesn't, you don't wake refreshed. You ache, you're exhausted, you feel like within an hour you could go take another nap. And it was just like, it was just brutal on the body. And like, I couldn't do that now. That would destroy me for months. Yeah, I don't eat sugar. Usually I avoid sugar. I did a binge bash this afternoon just because like I think it was something like 2.5 cups of the sugared cereal that I taste tested a while ago left. And I had kind of said to some people like, this seems like it would be interesting to try to do this with a recipe. So I figured I kind of had to try to make it. So I made it, I tried it, and then it's just like, I got a bunch of this crap left over. I should just finish it off. And so I did that. Not the smartest choice in the world. I probably shouldn't have done it that way. But like my food for the next 3 or 4 days is going to be fish, lentils, ground beef, some refried beans. I think that's kind of it. I usually start the day off with a couple of eggs. And if I'm feeling really, really up for I need a little extra because I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff early in the day, I do my scrambled eggs, I cut it into strips and lay a strip inside of a piece of ham that I roll up. So it's like ham and egg strips. And I do like 2 eggs and 5 slices of ham lunch meat to make that happen. And so that's enough for a good start to the day. And then midway through the day, I'll do a couple pieces of tilapia with some lentils and maybe a small side salad. And then evenings is usually beef and beans with salad or vegetables of some kind. And so I really don't get a lot of carbohydrate in my diet, mainly because for years my body just couldn't tolerate them at all. I get violently ill from them. No sugars, no starches, no rice, no potato, no pastas, no breads, no juices, nothing, no sugar of any kind. I did find about a year in that I was okay with honey for a little bit. But like my body just hated all of it. And getting it to just absorb anything was like a miracle. Yeah, I mean, I do find that sometimes, like, if I have something, well, for me, it's sort of like every now and then I've done a taste test where I've eaten something, and I've done the taste test as a recorded video that will be updated at some point. There, once I've eaten some of it, having an open packet of something in the house makes it hard to say like, well, I'll just have a little bit more. Like either get rid of it or don't. And so one of the things I found I do sometimes with that kind of stuff is I'll eat some for a taste test and then I'll bring it down to the maker space and leave it out for people to snack on afterwards. And that sort of gets it out of the house and out of my way. But that's these days where I have a little more permissibility about what I'm able to eat because not as much of that stuff makes me as violently ill as it used to. To be fair, this last week, I've been sicker than I've been in a little while. So I know I've pushed myself a little too far. for me, the motivating factor was the knowledge that before I try a thing, I have absolutely no way of knowing if I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon in excruciating pain, feeling like I should be passing out from the pain soon, and violently ill for days. And so, like, when you can walk into a grocery store and look at most of the shelves and go, based off of what I know, there's a 63% chance this is going to ruin my week. It becomes so much easier to just say no. But by the same token, when you hit a period of relative calm and you taste test something that should, by all measures, wreck you, but it doesn't, there is this little nagging desire. Like next time you go through the stories, well, it didn't hurt me the last time. You get some more of that. It's like, but I don't need that. I don't need it around the house. Don't buy it. I got a friend of mine who actually he's struggling with blood sugar issues, and they keep talking about whether or not they're going to put him on a medication for it. And they're just like, well, we'll see where his levels are at over the next so-and-so period of time. And I try not to bring things in that'll tempt him into the house. Because if he comes by and visits and he sees it there, he's gonna want it. And he's a few times come in when I've had snacks around. And it was like, he likes spicy food. So a while ago, I did a taste test. Doritos came out with a flaming hot Doritos. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, I'm not there yet. I'll get to them. And like he came by like 3 or 4 times that week. And each time the bag's still sitting there unopened on the counter. He goes, man, you've got some self-control. That would have been gone the first day that was left on the counter. And I'm like, no, it's like if the bag were open, I'd probably snack on it for the next 2 days until it was gone. But right now, like it's closed. It's not open. It seems silly to say it's more effort to open it than to just leave it alone. Because it's just opening a bag. I could just open the bag and eat it. But sometimes it's easier to go like, I don't want to start a bag right now. Just pull out a couple slices of ham and a piece of cheese or something, and I'm good. Like I don't need to put any real effort into eating something at that point. And so like that's a mode I can get into relatively easily. But I mean, you're sort of right. With a already cut or prepared or set out or something like that in the house, it's so easy to keep telling yourself you can go for it. Like you shouldn't. You don't want it. It's not good for you. And like in my experience from being sick for as long as I was, I came to realize like you build these things up in your mind. You go, oh, that's going to be so good. It's never as good as my brain tells me it's going to be. It's never good enough really for me to feel bad about having eaten it later. It's never that good. There's no like, even when I make my cheesecake filled donut holes dipped in dark chocolate and sprinkled with a freeze-dried strawberry, they're pretty good and they're popular with people I make them for. But like, I don't want to make a batch right now. I could. I don't want to. Like, there's no, I don't crave them. I don't want them right now. And honestly, I won't want one for at least 4 or 5 more months. If that. I may never, like, unless I'm going to a family gathering where I'm going to share them with other people, I could go never making another batch of those. Not because I don't like them, but it's just not, like, there's no desire for it right there. And there's a lot of that sentiment in a lot of the things that I'm talking about. Like, there are a lot of foods that, like, I could say, like, if it were here, I'd eat it. But it's not because I crave it. And my brain tells me like, oh, but that'll be so good when it's right in front of me. But it's never so good. It's it is. It's food. And so like I just have to keep holding on to that mentality because I have been rather destructive with my diet in the last, well, pretty much since I did the mukbang. So in the last few months, I've been pretty aggressively doing not good things to my system. And I need to be better about that. Well, we're hitting the edge of 11 o'clock, and I've got 2 more hours of content I need to be working on. So I guess I will see you tomorrow. And be good. Stay away from cake. Be strong. I believe in you. Have a good one. Oh, yeah, it didn't enter that. I don't know why it's behaving so weirdly. All right. Right now. Goo night. Okay, how about spelling? Spelling's important. There we go. Got it to work finally. Night.